Okay guys, I am online. This is the first time I try to do an Hangout live stream YouTube video. I'm going to explain how to build Tomb Raider custom levels using 3dsmax. So things are ready. I collected some of the textures I will use in this tutorial. But first of all, I want to explain some of the things you need to know to face this journey we are going to do together. Every time I want to build a new level, I create a folder called MetaTutorial AAA, for example, for the first level, where I collect all the M key or files. For example, let's open this one. But there are some of the items you'll find in game. The main thing to know is that usually MetaTutorial, when it extracts all the files from your tier 4 level, I mean the level which is untouched, which is not that has not the post editing with the 3dsmax. MetaTutorial extracts all the textures, all the tiles in different files that are ordered in a specific order. I mean, the first levels, the first tiles of the levels are from the TGA file. The TGA file is the file of the textures you use in NGLE or in the TRLE. Then there are the tiles for the bed, WAD. Finally, you can add all the textures you want using Meta 2TR. This will be understood later. For now, all the things you have to know is that the tiles are extracted by Meta 2TR, and they can be in order or not, but anyhow, they can be files saved in BMP format, and they have to be of this size 256 pixels. 3dsmax is the program I will use to create objects. I will start a new level in a naturalistic environment. It is with a lake, with a mountain, with lots of trees, plants, rocks, etc. So I'm going to build the first object just to start and to let you know how I use 3dsmax. Let's start with this tree. I will create a tree from a primitive 3D shape, a cylinder. First of all, I want to set the environment of 3dsmax. I don't like this position of the windows, so clicking with the right button of the mouse, I can go in this settings, and I choose usually this one, top front left perspective. This is perfect for me. Perspective. Okay, so the arranging of the windows has changed. Then I'm going to set the snap. The snap is the possibility to go using the grid and to create the primitives or any of the shapes using the grid itself. But I don't like these settings because HyperSquare, which is a program we will use later, is more friendly if we have another setting for the grid in 3dsmax. So right-click on the snap icon, and I have this this window. The home grid, which is this grid, I am touching with the mouse, is set with a spacing of 10 units. It is better to have one unit grid because one unit corresponds in the TRLE editor, that is in the Tomb Raider level editor, correspond in one sector. That is one unit set here correspond to one sector here in this grid. Okay. In the perspective grid, I'm going to see about 20 units. Okay. So this is the main grid, and we have 10, it is 20 grids, and each of these sector grid corresponds to an actual sector in the TRLE editor. This means that if I build a box that has one unit for side, this is a cube that we have in the Tomb Raider editor as a normal cube. To have the clicks we usually use in the Tomb Raider level editor, we can build a box, but as a grid, as a click in the Tomb Raider level editor is 1/4 of sector. That is, to have a cube, you have to raise a click 4 times. One unit has 4 clicks. So this is a sector raised 1 click in the Tomb Raider level editor. In this way, if we want to have 2 clicks, that is half a sector in 8, we have to create a parallelepiped which is I 0.5. In this way, to have a sector which is I 3 clicks, we have to type 0.75. Again, to have a column which is I 3 sector, for example, we have to type 3, or we can type 2 to have a sector, a column which is I 2 sectors, and so on. Obviously, we can subdivide this parallelepiped so we can have more details into this max. Anyhow, let's start building our tree. I will start from a cylinder. cylinder. For this tree, I'm going to subdivide the sides of this cylinder as 8 because it is detailed enough. The radius, I'm going to have it half a click, one fourth of a click, and yes, the height can be 3 sectors, and the eye segment can be 5, so it's fine. I'm going to change this shape to have a more irregular tree. I have set all these additional buttons thanks to this configuration. I have chosen those ones. You can choose yours among all these ones. Cancel. I suggest you to configure your modifier sets using these ones so you can be faster. And I'm going to use the FFD option, which is freeform deformation modifier. The freeform deformation modifier creates a gizmo around the shape, around the solid, that I can modify in any way I wish. So I can use this modifier, for example, to raster its top. There are lots of modifiers as freeform deformations. There are the, the deformation for 3 points with 3 points for each side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or we can have a freeform deformation of 4 points for each side. Or we can even have a deformation box where we can set the number of points for length, width, and height. Anyhow, the one I usually use with ease is the freeform with 2 points. So let's go on with the creation of the modifier of this tree, and I'm going to raster its top in this way. Then I'm going to use this modifier, to have a bit more irregular shape. Again, I'm going to set this solid as converting it as a editable mesh. Then I go to the vertex selection. I select all those ones, and I use a bend modifier to modify it in an irregular way. So this tree is assuming its final shape. Again, I convert it into a modifier mesh, but actually I want to use the edit poly options. I'm going to save. Later I will tell you why I'm doing all of these passages. Okay, so I selected 2 or 3 or 4 random vertices of the base, and I'm going to chamfer them. Look at what happens. You can see what happens. Okay, changing. If I use this, I mean I select and then I drag the mouse, I have a live deformation. Okay, let's do this one. Right. Okay. Use a bevel, local polygon. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right, right. Okay. As I want them, as I want those roots to touch the ground and not be to have them at the 0 zeta. I'm going to make them all planar, and then type here 0, so they are perfectly at the 0, at the zeta 0. Okay, going to give them some irregular shape. Sorry, but my mouse has some problems. In fact, it does. Okay. Okay. My mouse has some problem. Okay. So here I am. This is the base for this tree. I'm going to do the branches. To do the branches, I'm going to use some lines. I press Zeta button to have a zoom, a pan zoom on all the views, and I maximize the front view. I'm going to draw some lines. Not going to start new shapes. I toggle the snap. Okay. Now on the left view, okay, you can do all of this randomly because there is not a law. Just do all of this, keeping in mind that you are doing a naturalistic object, an organic object. So it's better to respect the randomness. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to edit the spine because the shape obviously are not in the place where I want them. To do this, I want to specify some of the things. Oh, okay, the snap I set is for the grid points, vertex and midpoint. Then in customize preferences, I set the gizmo can be multiples. Okay, so when I select one of the vertices, I have one gizmo. This is this handle. If I select three of them, I have three gizmos. But if I choose to use only the barycenter of the selection, I will have again only one gizmo, which is at the barycenter of the three vertices. Okay, now I'm going to change to fix the position. I press S key of the keyboard to enable or disable the snap. I'm pressing and repressing the S key. As I don't want the snap enabled, I press the S key to disable it. Okay, but this one I need it in the mid of this segment. Okay. And this can go here. This one can go here. Again, just think about the fact that this is random. and there is no real rule to respect. Those are supposed to be the tree branches, and we are going to give them uh, their thickness later in just one command. Okay. Sometimes my mouse doesn't do the click, so I lose some time in trying to do the click. Okay, everything seems random enough. Okay, now I'm going to tell the 3dsmax to give a thickness to this line. Simply go to the rendering tab, enable in viewport, to choose the radial thickness, but one sector, one unit is too much. Let's try this one, but the sides are too many. The sides are too many, and so we choose 3. Okay, so this can be good, this can be fine, but there is an error here. There is an error here. Here. I'm going to put all those dots inside the main tree. Okay, okay. Okay. Oh, no, it doesn't respond. Okay, so it should be all perfect now, unless we are going to again change a few things. Okay. To give this line to editable spline a 2D shape, we have to apply a new modifier that we usually apply to a solid. For example, a new view map. A new view map gives some UV coordinates to texturize the, the, the solid. Let's choose UV map and give them not a cylinder, a cylindrical, not a spherical, not a box, but a face texturization. This means that if we are going to apply a texture to this one, example, I'm going to choose really a fake texture only to show, for example, this one. For example, this one, and I choose to view to show the standard map in viewport. As you can see, each of the face, this solid is that forms this solid, has the same texture applied in the same way. This is not what I like, so for now I'm going to not give this object this kind of material. I'm going to show you what kind of material later I'm going to apply here. And I apply an unwrap UV. This means that I'm going to change the way those textures are applied to this object. So when earlier this solid had this kind of texturization, that is, all the polygons and all the tiles have the same dimension, Now all the polygons have the texture, have only a portion of the texture, of the original texture, and this is only half of a click. In fact, if a square of a sector is texturized with a square texture, half of the sector is texturized by only half of the texture. One click of the texture of the sector is texturized with 1/4 of the texture. As really thin, those polygons can be texturized by only one eighth of texture. So let's say this one. Let's say that for now this is only the thing you have to know. Later, when things will get more complicated, you'll understand everything. Now, as I think this shape is good enough, I can save, giving a progressive number, pressing plus button key here, and I'm going to transform this editable spline into an editable mesh. Then, as I don't like a lot how those branches end, I'm going to select all the endings of these branches, so you'll see soon what I'm going to do after I select all those endings of the branches. Okay, I think I have all them all. Okay, I'm going to scale them, but not using the barycenter of them, but using every single polygon. For example, if I press this one, and when you watch here, you see that I'm going to scale them with fixed values, 10% each time. See, let's say that 50% or 40% is enough. Then I'm going to scale upscale, not the endings, but the beginnings of those branches. Okay, okay. So I'm going to upscale them. No, sadly my mouse doesn't want to collaborate. Okay, I'm going to change the gizmo size. Let's say 30. Okay. So my mouse should collaborate much more. And I'm going to make them all 150%. Okay. So this tree now is much more something beautiful to look at. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, let's say that this tree is almost done. Okay, I'm going to smooth all those polygons. I'll just smooth them all. So you're not gonna see too sharpened polygons. Okay, now I'm going to texturize it, and there is something you should know. As I said, uh, we can have lots of textures in the same level. We have, for example, in this level 386 texture tiles, but in one of my levels I have, in this one for example, I have 983 texture tiles. So let's start this new level. I'm going to go in the 000 folder. In the 000 real textures, I'm going to collect all my tiles. And in the PS subfolder, I'm going to collect all the PSD files I create with Photoshop and all the texture I found on the internet. I have created before to start this tutorial this texture, which is not tileable, which is not seamless from on its sides, but it is seamless in its center. And I'm going to create the first texture, 2 texture tiles I need for the levels. Okay, I use the create sections tool. I press Ctrl H to visualize the grid, and I'm going to divide the section. I want each tile to be 256 pixels, 256 pixels, and so I have 12 texture tiles. I'm going to save all those sections as separated files. You have to save them JPEG with 100% quality. Save. I'm going to save them in the OOO folder. It has saved all the texture tiles in this subfolder, and I'm going to tell Photoshop to create a batch, to use the batch to save in BMP, so that all those 12 textures are saved as a tile with a serial number of 3 numbers and the extension starting from the number 001. Okay, and start saving them this way. Now I have sorry, I forgot to tell where to save them. Okay, file, batch. I want to set them in the OOO texture, log textures. Okay, okay, okay. So I have them now in the OOO real texture folder. Now I want some 3 textures, and I have created those ones. I'm going to rename them tile 00013, tile 014, tile 015, tile 016. Okay, so I go back to 3dsmax and I create my first material. I browse for a bitmap, going in the OOO texture, and I choose the first one. No, I choose this one. I choose the 14 one. So to have the texture tile to work material, the texture material to work fine in Meta Sequoia, and then in Meta 2TR, and then in the level to be played, I have to rename this material as tile, that is the same name of the bitmap I'm using. Then I can select the button show standard map in viewport, and I'm going to apply a scene, this material to the selection, this one. Okay, this one was a cylinder, so it has a cylindrical UV mapping. I'm going to change this, but first of all I want to separate the roots. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I want to separate them only to make things easier. Touch, okay. So I'm going to change the way this tree is this trunk is UV mapped with unwrap UV. Those are all the UV infos we will see when we are going to use MetaTutorial. For now, you can see that each of the dot here correspond to a vertex here, and when I move one of these, the tree changes its texturization. Those polygons are fine because those are very little, but are very tiny. But I'm not happy for those ones which are at least 3 times or 2.5 times those ones. So I'm going to change this. To select this, I'm going to map them this way. Again, those ones here. I'm going to change the way those polygons are texturized. Tools, touch the frames. Okay, tools well selected. Okay, and so this tree is almost completely textured. I like that. It is almost done. This texture is not seamless. I'm going to change this texture in Photoshop. It was the 14. Okay. Move. Okay. Okay. So. And so this is fixed. Okay. I'm going to apply this a UV map to the roots face, for example, and it's almost fine. I'm going to resize these textures, this texturization. For example, here and here. This way. Okay. We have to save the different UV infos. So this is the reason why I choose the same texturization for all the roots. Now I convert to editable mesh. I choose the trunk. I use edit mesh. I attach the, the, the roots. I go to the vertex selection. I select all of them and I weld them. Selected. There are 92 vertices selected. I weld the selected ones and all the vertices are selected. So I have only 80 vertices selected. Go back to editable mesh. I'm going to do this one, but for the branches, I'm going to use another material. So I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to choose another of the four wood textures. Let's say that this one is fine. No. Yes, this one is fine. 15. I rename this one in 15, and I apply this material to the selection. As you can see, we have an unwrap that consists in the texturization of only this part. But this part is too large. So I'm going to resize it halfway, and I want a more regular texturization. Again, this texture is not seamless. Let's see if here it's better. Anyhow, I'm going to make it seamless as the first one. 15. If I press Ctrl H, I toggle on and off the grid, and if I press Ctrl F, I apply again the previous filter, which is an offset. And I'm going to delete the texture here. I don't like how it is going. I change the shape of the razor. Now I'm going to do an offset and then use the eraser. see what happened. And it's far better. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to attach these branches here. As the material is different, the materials of these two objects are different, 3dsmax asks me for an attach options. I set the match material these two materials and to condense materials in entities. This means that now the new object has two materials in it. The first one is tile 014.bmp, this one. The second one is tile 015.bmp, this one. So every time I attach a new object, 3dsmax asks me if I want to match the materials to the faces. This one is as this material. This means this material. This means the ED1. And in fact, all this object as one as first material. If I select a branch, the ED is 2. This means this material, this material, this material. If I want to select all the polygons, they use the material with ED2, I write 2 here and I choose select ED. If I want to select all the materials, they use the first material. I select one of those polygons and I choose select ED. So it selected all the materials. They uses the first material. Okay, I knew that all of this was going to do really long and tiring. I hope not boring. But anyhow, I'm a bit tired now, and I'm going to do a live event on YouTube later, later tomorrow, and I will use some of the textures to for the leaves, and then I will build a lake around this tree after having built some variations of this tree itself. So for now, the hangout is ended. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see soon, tomorrow, or in a few hours, for a second live stream on this HyperSquare method to build Tomb Raider levels. See you.